stop, everybody be quiet. Girls, what I'm going to do is go through how to do every question on your test. Now, some of you guys don't have a copy of the test, and for you, I will give you a copy of it right now, and you can follow along.
I grabbed this.
You are going to have, if you're in my class, this is a little bit tricky, because if you took the test yesterday, you'll get the test back, so just follow along where I go. If you're not in my class, you don't know what we're talking about, so you can have this. No, you were supposed to be an extra help this morning. That's what I told you guys. If you didn't show up, it's too late. Okay? So, what you guys are going to do is go over these questions with me, and these will be like the videos to the relearn packet
Not in your class.
that we're about. I didn't give you one, I'm sorry. These are like the videos for the relearn packet. In fact, that's exactly what they are. And if you stop playing the baby games, move over a seat. You that way, you that way. Now, hold on. So listen, this was planned well before you did your test. Oh, Dallas, can you turn and face this way? This was planned weeks ago. The chart's been up there. And if you notice what it says on the chart, it says test this day and then test next Wednesday, and then it says relearn packet in between. I felt that this test would be difficult for kids. And what I want to do is I want to give you every opportunity to bring up your grade. There were some kids who bombed the test and really deserved to bomb because they did no work. But there were a lot of kids between, say, 55 and 64. And they need to step up and to do better. So I knew the test would be very hard, particularly the part one. And what I want to do is go over all the questions. We'll do the part one, then I'll do the part two in two separate videos. And then we'll work on the relearn packet during class between now and the test, and also a pre-test. And then you guys get to take the new test. If the new test is higher than the old test, I will drop the old test grade and put the new test grade in place. So theoretically, if you got a 0 on the test that you just took yesterday, and you get a 75 on your next test, you're gonna get 2 75s in your average. If you get a 98 on yesterday's test, and so far I've graded one grade in the 90s, that kid got a 93, and he only gets an 89 on the next test, he'll get a 93 and an 89, okay? So, let's go through these questions, and hopefully we get a really good understanding. I thought this was a very difficult question. These questions with this kind of font were taken off of old Common Core state assessments at the end of the year. How many people here opted out of the state test last year? Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are the kinds of questions that were on the test last year, so that you know the level of difficulty that you're looking at. And I don't know if you know this or not, but the state has put a moratorium on the testing for the next 4 years, so they're not going to count grades against you per se. So you could take the test, you might take it, you might not. If you don't, they don't even really count the grade anymore for the next 4 years. So they don't count it for you, they don't count it for teachers, they don't count it for anybody. A lab has 2 bacteria cultures. Culture A has 8 times 10 to the 4th bacteria. So let's write this as a whole number. 8, or as a standard numeral, times 10 to the 4th. That's 8 times 10 to the 4th, 80,000. And then B has 4 times 10 to the 6th. So let's see, that's 6 right there. So there's lab A and there's lab B. Now, if I look at, notice how it talks about twice as many, half as many, a 25th and a 50th. That means to me that I have to multiply and see how much bigger it is. So I'm going to reduce it by the number of zeros that they share in common. Basically, this guy has 8, and this guy has 400. This really has 8 10,000s, and this really has 400 10,000s. But the bottom line is that this has 8 and this has 400. When you simplify it, it then says, how do they compare in size? Now, is culture A twice as big as culture B? Does that make, no, not a chance. If you make culture A twice as big, you get 16. Culture B is still way bigger than that, so it can't be A. Culture A has half as many bacteria as culture B. Well, is 8 half of 200?
No.
Not a chance. It's 1/25 as big. Well, if that was the case, girls, if that was the case, you could do 8 times 25 and get 400. Is 8 times 25 400? No, it's not, so that can't be it. It's 1/50th as big. Is 8 times 50 400? Yes, it is.
I got that question wrong.
Okay.
I put
Yeah,
C.
I thought, personally, I thought that might have been the hardest question on the whole test.
I picked C.
Okay, well, this is what it is. Number 2, which equation does not represent a linear function? A linear function is anything that can be graphed like a line. The most famous type, we always say it all the time, the general equation of a line is y equals mx plus b. Well, this looks like that. I mean, it's plus 0 for a y-intercept. This looks like that, it's a half. This looks like that, they just changed the order. What does the letter D have in it that the other ones does not have?
An exponent.
An exponent. As soon as it has an exponent in it, it's not linear.
Got that one wrong too.
So, this is choice D. Now, let me ask you a question. Was number 2 hard?
Yeah.
2 was hard?
To me it was.
Let me rephrase the question. If you practice it between now and the next test, shouldn't you get it right on the next test?
Yes.
Yeah, as soon as you see the exponent, you know that's the answer.
Alright.
So, not very difficult.
I put C because I thought.
Okay,
X was gonna
next one. Ready? Students organized a 12-hour dance-a-thon as a fundraiser for their summer camp. The graph below represents the amount of money they raised during the first 8 hours. How much did they raise in the 8th hour, up through the 8th hour? So to do that, you go up to here,
Pretty
and
sure
then
I
over
got
to
this
here.
right.
240.
Oh, got that one wrong. Got that one wrong. I put 60. I put 30. I put 60.
Because I thought it was
I just showing how much was. I divided
It's
it
a
into
cent
Okay.
per hour.
Listen, this says total amount raised, and this wants the total amount raised during the first 8 hours. So you go to 8 hours, you go over here, it's 240.
Wait, I have a question real quick. How many points were those 3?
12,
Oh, okay.
4 points each.
Well,
Yeah, I bought it.
Okay. Now, it says during the first 8 hours. That means all together during the first 8 hours.
Oh, I put
No, but at the
30.
bottom,
Same, because I
per
saw per hour.
No, it doesn't. It say number of
That's
hours.
divided
It does not say per hour.
no, the
I
question
saw
at the
per hour. I
bottom.
was like 30. That's a single question. Mr. Lucas.
Oh, hold it. I think I did a boo-boo here.
Just please.
It says here per hour. I didn't read that.
No.
So, it's 240 in 8 hours, which means it's $30 per hour.
Yes.
Which means, hold on, which means many of you have a wrong question graded on your paper. So, before I put the final, well, I didn't put the final grades in the power folder yet, so I'll take a peek at it and see if I can find it. So, I'm sorry, I did not read per hour, so it should be $30 per
Yeah,
hour.
James,
I'm crying.
Anthony still got it wrong.
So, you have Kayla to thank for that one.
What'd you put 60 for?
Next,
Oh, please tell me I got those.
okay. This was a question that, by and large, we did pretty well with.
Was that on the test?
I'm multiplying here, so it's multiply coefficients, 15, add exponents, n to the 4th,
Wait. Yes, I got that right.
okay? 15 n to the 4th.
I got that one wrong.
Now,
I got that one right.
The next question I'm going to need a little bit of help with, because this is an older version of Word, so it won't allow me to open up certain things. What does this say on your paper?
It says 5 to the third, over 5 to the fifth.
Okay, 5 to the 3rd over 5 to the 5th. And everybody realizes that's 5 to the negative 2, right? Because you subtract exponents, 3 minus 5 is negative 2. Okay, this I think is 1 over 25. This I think is 1 over 5 to the negative 2. This I think is 1 over
Oh,
5 to the
that's
2,
why
and that's just 5 to the negative 2. Well, it is 5 to the negative 2, so it is equivalent to this one. It wants the one that's not, so that can't be the answer. Ha, negative exponent.
Step it up.
So that's 1 over 5 squared, which is 1 over 25. So, oh, this has got to work. Well, what's 5 squared here? 25. So that's 1 over 25. So since we want the one that's not equivalent, these all are equivalent.
Damn.
Ah,
Yes.
1 over 5 to the negative 2. That is wrong.
I got
Okay?
that one wrong too.
Okay.
Did you guess?
No, I think I got that one wrong. I got that one wrong. I put
Next
one-
up.
What's one for?
I think I got this.
I didn't even.
We said here, we corrected during the class that what we really meant here was on day 7 and on day 5. But on day 5 there are 15,000 cells. On day 7 there are 7 times 10 to the 6th cells, which means that you have to write that out in scientific notation. 7 times 10 to the 6th is this. And when I look at students do questions like this, I constantly see students who don't line up the zeros. it's extremely important, because you're gonna subtract here, that you line up your zeros. Otherwise, if you're kinda off, it tends to make your answer off, not because you don't know how to subtract, because you're too sloppy. Okay? 0, 0, 0. Now, here we get a problem. I can't do 0 minus 5, so 6, 10 becomes 9, 9 gets knocked down to become 8, and, I'm sorry, to be 9, and that's 10, so this is 5, 8, 9, 6.
Can I ask a question? That was
Hold
wrong
on,
too.
hold it. So it's 6,985,000, but this then needs to be converted to scientific notation. So it's 6.985, and yes, you need to write all of those numbers. Several students wrote this, 6.98,
I got it wrong.
and they stopped. You need to write all of them. Times 10 to the 3, 4, 5, 6.
You got it wrong.
6.98 times 10, 5 times 10 to the 6.
I was pretty positive about number 7.
Yeah,
Sure, I
me
picked
too.
B.
Okay.
I picked B first.
You're going to have to multiply these two. Okay? So on number 7, you need to multiply. And we talked about that. If I have so many meters, and each meter has, like if I have 5 meters, and if each meter has in it 4 widgets, then 5 times 4 is 20 is how many widgets I would have altogether. So now I'm going to multiply these two. And at first it looks really difficult.
It's actually not that.
But it's not as difficult as it looks, because the thing that makes it look so difficult is, you know, I think a lot of kids are like, oh man, I gotta do 5.8 times 4.3, but the truth is you really don't have to, because 5.8 is a little bigger than 5, and 4.3 is a little bigger than 4. So what would 5 times 4 be?
20.
20. So the answer has to be a little bigger than 20. So that means that it can't be D and it can't be B. But
That was wrong.
so I know I'm gonna get 24.94
I would
times 10 to the 7 and 4 is 11, but we have a problem. What's the problem? Okay,
It's over 10.
that's right.
Yes!
So I have to divide by 10 here, so I have to multiply by 10 here, and I get 2.494 times 10 to the 12.
Yes!
So choice C is the correct
I
answer.
already failed.
Did you guess?
Okay?
No, I didn't do it.
Today, Junior.
I didn't know what you did. I actually just saw that like you had to go to the tent, and I knew like you had to have like the 2 in front.
Well, you know what? What Anthony's doing here, Anthony is reasoning ways that other things can't be the answer in the choice, and you end up eliminating until you get to the one that is only reasonable one. Okay, number 8, which of the following has the greatest value for f of 3? Girls, I'm gonna plug the 3 in. So what's 2 times 3?
6.
6. Minus 1?
7. 5.
5. I'm gonna do negative 3 times 3. What's negative 3 times 3? Negative 3 times 3, guys.
9.
Negative 9. Plus 19?
What?
Negative 9 plus 19.
That's
10.
10.
I said it.
I got it
Next, what's 3 squared?
wrong.
Come on, 3 squared, let's go.
9.
9 plus 5.
Oh wait, I might have done
9 plus 5. 14.
Oh,
What's 3 squared?
9.
9. 4 times 3 is 12. 9 minus 12 is negative 3. Which one has the biggest value?
C.
C.
Yes.
C is the
You
correct
said
answer.
please be D.
I said C.
Now,
You said D.
can we stop? Next, at this point, everything up until here, kids tended to have a bit of a difficulty with. But from numbers 9 on, kids tended to do very well. So, what is the slope for number 9? Everybody?
Negative 2.
-2, and not negative 2x. Now, if you put an x on there, you got it wrong. No x's. Okay,
If I
Derek?
did that test, I would have got that one.
Derek? No.
Wait, I do have a question.
Um,
Negative 2 over 1.
negative 2 over 1 is fine. Next, what's the slope of this line? Now I need to divide by 2. So the slope is 3 over 2. Okay. Next one, what's the y-intercept of this line? It's 4. Y-intercept's the number at the end. What's that? No, that would be slope, but this is really because of the old program, 3/5. Next one, I got a minus 3x from both sides, and I'm gonna come over here. 5y equals negative 3x plus 10. Then I need to divide by 5, and I get y equals negative 3/5 x plus 2. What's the y-intercept? 2.
Yes! Let's
Okay.
go! I actually got those
Okay,
right.
next.
What if they say you got it right to go to 40?
Next up, number 13. Which is true of the line y equals x? So what's the slope going to be on this, guys? Y equals x. What's the slope? 1. Good. So I'm going to cross off the two choices that say the slope is 0. What's the y-intercept?
0.
0. Slope is 1, y-intercept is
Guys,
0.
yo.
See it is.
I'm doing this.
These are
Okay.
little girls.
Why are we getting so excited over this?
I don't know, but I'm cool with it. Next. What's the slope connecting here?
I didn't even put it
I made
in.
a graph. I think it was like.
Oh, if you made a graph, you're doing great. That's a great way to do it. But I'm going to use the formula.
on the next page.
I was actually gonna do that, but I was like, then where's the working? So I was like, make my own.
Make it
Guys.
1.
You do understand that people are going to be watching these videos? Derek, stop. Well, people are going to be watching the videos, so you can't carry on so much that you stop them from learning. Now, the y from the second point is 7, minus the y from the first point is 4. The x from the second point is 1. The x from the first point is negative 2. 7 minus 4 is 3. 1 minus negative 2 is 3. 3 over 3, which a lot of people put as their answer, is fine, but you could also simplify it to 1 or 1 over 1. Any of those is fine.
Yeah, I got that 1 over 1.
Okay,
That was I got that one right.
next one. I was very happy that so many people got the next one right. Distribute the 2. 2x minus 6 equals 2x plus 5. Then they subtracted the 2x, and they got negative 6 equals 5. And everybody knows that never happens. And if it never happens, there's never a solution. So C. Okay? Next, number 16. What is the equation of a line? Now, as soon as it says equation of a line, I'm thinking y equals mx plus b. What does m stand for again, guys? Slope. What does b stand for? Y-intercept. It's where you begin, but it's for the y-intercept. So if it's parallel to this line, parallel lines have what kind of slopes?
Same
Same slope. Good. So what's the slope of this line? 3. Just 3. So my answer has to be y equals 3x. Now, it has the same y-intercept as this line. What's the y-intercept of that line? So it's y equals 3x plus 3. Okay.
Almost. Did you get that right?
Now, that is the entire part 1
I actually got most of
of our test.
it.
How many questions are on this?